Mic's open. Mike, you got this one good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good.
Everything all right?
Oh, everything's all right, man. We was all right, man, until you just interrupted the show.
I heard somebody calling Champ, man. I thought you was calling me.
Hey, look what you doing, man. Look what you doing. He's up, man. Dang, man. This is not the way it's supposed to be, man. My intro, man. Dude, killing my intro. Love by me. I can't even do it now. I can't do it. Folks, what's wrong with America today? The champ is here. Ed Gray, the champ is here. Loved by many, hated by few, respected by all, was second to none. And I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking to you, right there, you, out there in America, as Bernie Mac used to say. I want to talk to you, because what I just saw, not with the guy just coming in and interrupting what we were doing, that's all good. But what happened on Thursday, what happened on Thursday was something that will always be remembered. And what I'm talking about is democracy is on the ropes in the United States of America. It's on the ropes. It's like, I'm champion. I'm fighting. I'm on the ropes. America, fighting. It's on the ropes. January 6th of last year, America was on the ropes. And what was on the ropes then was just something simple. That old story they always tell us about, America has always been able to have a transition from one political party to another without any violence. Well, that didn't occur. That didn't occur because people died. 5 people died on January 6th. 5 on 6. They died. And because of the fact that they died, and because of the fact that one man said that an election was stolen from him, when the reality of it was that he lost by several million people that voted for the other guy. And then we end up having what is considered white supremacist backlash. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I just want to talk to you. White supremacist backlash. All this stems from January 2009. Yeah, it wasn't 2021. It was 2009. When a black man entered into a White House. And everybody got kind of upset because this whole vision of America in which all these presidents before were all white, and then all of a sudden a black man comes there and ruins it. And then there's a possibility of a white woman coming in there, ruining it. And then white male supremacy is now kicked to the curb. So what America decided to do was go ahead and get another John Wayne. Hey, y'all know. No, this is not a John Wayne type deal where, where my boys say my heroes never appeared on any stamps. We're not talking about Public Enemy slamming John Wayne. We're not talking about America deciding to go back and get Ronald Reagan when Ronald Reagan wasn't available. But what America decided to do was get Trump style. Yeah, they decided to get Trump style and say, you're fired. And then American Carnage came. And then right after that, we had everything that happened within 4 years of Trump. But most people are willing to leave when the party's over. I know, I'm a victim of that too. Sometimes I never wanted to leave when the party was over either. So I hung around in the parking lot a little while and partied in the parking lot. But I be damned. In this parking lot, people climbed the Capitol Hill, went inside the Capitol building, and started an insurrection. I know some folks say there was no insurrection. It was. when 5 people lose their lives, many others are hurt, when the Capitol building is under siege, when they have to call the National Guard out, then you're under siege. That's what happened. It was an insurrection. So now what I want you to do is take a look, get dressed up, get ready to see the show, because it's a show. It's a show about democracy. We're going to lose it. You know, it was a great philosopher, Benjamin Franklin, who once said, when asked, what kind of government do we have? And old Ben Franklin said, you have a republic if you can keep it. This has been a noble and novel experiment. An experiment that's been going on for over 200 years. But this past 4, 5, 6 years, it's been under attack. And it's still under attack. And it's not over with yet. It's not over with yet because the people who are instigating it are still around. Yeah, they're the people that, when it comes down to assault weapons, they decide that your Second Amendment rights trumps everything else. No pun intended. Your Second Amendment rights trumps everything else. And someone 18 years old, yeah, you, 18 years old, can't buy a drink, can't buy a pistol, but you can buy an assault weapon and go into a school and kill kids. Can't buy a drink, can't buy a pistol, but you can go into a grocery store and kill senior citizens. Something wrong with that picture, folks. Just like January 6th, the insurrection. Something wrong with that picture. When a person decides to say, we're getting ready to go to Capitol Hill, we're getting ready to go to the Capitol building, we're going to take back our country. The country never left nowhere. You know, if you yell and say fire, and there's no fire, they arrest you for it because you're inciting something to occur. That's the same way it is if you yell revolution, and then people go forward and create a revolution. Then you're instigating a revolution. That's what occurred in January 6th. And a lot of my friends somehow seem to believe that January 6th was just a protest. I heard this word used by the Attorney General, Bill Barr. Now, it's his word, not mine. So don't get on me about it when I say it. Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. That's what Bill Barr, the Attorney General, one of Mr. Trump's main henchmen, said when it came to the election. I don't want no parts of this bullshit. But see, a lot of people into this bullshit because, see, it's somewhat convenient to be part of bullshit when you are about bullshit. I know. Some folks say this is not the really kind of talk that we want to have. But keep in mind, I said the Attorney General said it first, not me. So I'm just expounding upon this bullshit. So now, expounding upon this bullshit, let me break it down. Ivanka Trump, yeah, Ivanka Trump, you know her. That's President Trump's favorite child. The good-looking model, you know, the one that, you know, has daddy's ear. She said that I accepted what Bill Barr said. What was that word again? Someone told me to say it again, so I won't say it. But that word had to go. But a lot of people seem to believe in that word again. And they came in and they was looking for Vice President Mike Pence. Said that he should be hung. And then you had a president of the United States who said, perhaps they were right. When do you have a president of the United States to say that his vice president should be killed? Never happened before. Unless you count the insurrection. But the sad part about this is Mike Pence is a good, God-fearing Christian man. And he did the bidding for Donald Trump for all these years. And now the chickens have come home to roost. Where do we go from here? It's clearly obvious that, as Donald Trump said, I'm just bringing up old stuff. But it's not old, folks. It's not old because between you and I and that fence post I'm leaning on, it's still going to be here for a little while. And people still are going to be about this revolution. Because Mr. Trump isn't giving up. And the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, they're not giving up either. And then there's another thing I want to talk to you about. You know, those guys that I just mentioned, when they go to trial, they get off. You know, normally if you steal cable television, you get like, well, who the hell's stealing cable television these days? Don't you have Sling and Hulu and all that kind of stuff? But back in the day when people was doing it, they received 4 years in jail for stealing a signal. But now someone can invade the Capitol building, beat up a police officer, and get 1 year in jail. Go figure that out. 1 year in jail. I don't want to bring race into it, but as always, I normally will, so I might as well start right now and do it. If that person was black, do you think they would have got 1 year in jail? No, they wouldn't have got 1 year in jail. They wouldn't have got that. You know it and I know it. That's why we said white supremacy is here as well. But what we're about now on this show is breaking it down. So in hour number 2, because we have 2 hours we're going to talk about this. In hour number 2, we're going to have Michael Todd, Legal Standpoint. He's going to be here. But I want to spend a couple of minutes talking to you, my friends. This is much more than a political narrative to me. I'm 60 years old. When I was 16 years old, 16 to 60, I worked in that building. I used to go to work in that building. I made it a point my whole entire life to serve people. And at the age of 16, I went into that building to work like many other people who went to work on January 6th. I went there as a congressional intern. Used to get my cup of cocoa, and got my Washington Post, and was with the other grown-ups, and I was only 16. And I was working on United States congressional issues. But back then, people had respect for each other. This stuff that happened recently never would have occurred. See, it's personal to me because that's where I grew up at. That's where I saw a lot of the people who later ran for president. I saw them up close and personal. I saw Jesse Jackson, Al Gore. I saw all those men and women from back in the day that later became people that we all know. I saw them. I also saw people such as David Duke, who challenged me one time because I had the nerve to wave at a black, the nerve to wave at a white baby, and I was a black man. I guess you could call me a black boy. Can you imagine being 16 years old and David Duke savagely attacking you, verbally attacking you? That's the kind of lifestyle I live. But being attacked verbally by David Duke and being attacked physically by the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys is something entirely different. Democracy is under wraps. First building I ever remember, I was 4 years old. And I remember this very vividly. My family was driving home, and we were driving past the Capitol building because we lived in Washington at that time. And I knew where the White House was at. And I knew who lived in the White House. It was a guy named Jan6, LBJ. Probably seen the freeway. And I told my mom, I said, I know who lived there. Johnson lived there. She smiled. And then I saw the Capitol building. And I said, who lived in that big old house? And she said, that's Congress and the Senate. I said, there's 2 people live there? No, she started laughing. She said, it's a lot of people live there. I said, but you said it was Congress and the Senate. She said, yeah, that's their names. I said, but you said it's 2 people. I couldn't get it. I didn't understand. But she told me the people that worked in that building were very important people. And they told people what to do. And I said, one of these days, I want to be one of those people. So years later, I'm one of those people. And I'm 16 years old, and I'm walking in this same building that I was at 4. And now at 60, I'm seeing people walk in that same building that I walked in at 4, and I walked in at 16, taking what my people helped build, literally. Enslaved Africans who built the White House and the Capitol building and desecrated. All because one man said that it was a rigged election and he wants to remain in power. Democracy is on the ropes. And only you can save it. It's in your hands, not mine. Thank you for listening to the Commish Radio Show. We'll see you hour number 2.